Hey everybody, welcome to the Investor's Guide to Memphis Real Estate. I'm producer Alec, stepping in for Dean and Douglas because they are out on summer vacation. But we didn't want to leave y'all empty-handed, so I talked to Dean and Douglas about what their top 5 rental investment zip codes are here in Memphis. And so we've pulled these clips from our annual zip code breakdown, which we will be doing again here in just a couple months, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, I wanted to remind y'all that 5 days a week, we post clips of this podcast on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook Reels. So if you want your social media feed to be more informative and make you a better investor, go ahead and follow those accounts, which you can find through our Linktree in the show notes. And also on that Linktree, you can find the link to the buyer profile, which is where you buyers can create a custom profile, and then Dean will send you properties that match your investment criteria. And last but not least, before we jump into those zip codes, this show is brought to you by CrestCore Property Management, Corlin Financial, River City Title and Escrow, the law offices of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, and Triumph Construction Services. CrestCore Property Management, great property managers here in Memphis. Corlin Financial does hard money lending. River City Title and Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer are both title and closing companies. And Triumph Construction is general contractor, rehab construction. So if you need any of those services, please go through those companies and let them know that we sent you. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the number 5 slot. We're going to be doing this Casey Kasem style from 5 to 1. So coming in at the number 5 slot is 38016 over in Cordova. Here's Dean and Douglas.
38106 Cordova is a fantastic investment zip code. Hedge funds dominate this area. I have a few in Cordova if you can find them to make sense. But I bought my first home in Cordova back in 2001. And it was growing even quickly then.
Oh yeah.
Germantown Parkway is the heartbeat of Cordova.
Yep.
All the way from Highway 64/Stage Road, all the way up to Poplar Pike in Germantown.
Yeah.
It runs Germantown Parkway, and you can find anything and everything you need on Germantown Parkway. Every restaurant, doctor's office, shopping center, everything you could possibly want is in Cordova. In 2023 and 38016, there's 2 Cordova zip codes. In 38016 in 2023, we had 65 sales, 2,227 square feet, and the average sales price was $290,592. 2024, got a little bit different trend here. 61 sales, 2,354 square feet, and an average sales price of $295. So the demand in Cordova, as you can see, has grown. And even from 23 to 24, it's grown. We got a little bit higher sales price, and we've got a few less sales. So tenant base in Cordova is fantastic. Typically, you get a dual income in the household. That's important if mom or dad gets laid off or whatever. You got another source of income to pay your rent. U of M grads, a lot out there. Young kids, there's a lot of those, first-time graduates out there. But talk about
you've got 46,000 people living out there making $72,000, which is $2,000 rent.
Yep.
So you're looking at 14,000 parcels built in 1996, kind of like you were talking about when you moved out there. 2,200 square feet in 2.5.
Yeah. So and the picture that we're seeing here is a typical home in Cordova, what you're going to find out there, brick property with 20 years old, average sales, age 25, maybe at the most.
Yeah. Super convenient.
That's the name of the game out there. And that's the reason why the tenant base moves out there. It's super convenient. Shoot down Walnut Grove or 40 to get into the city fairly quick. So that's 38016. I'm really fine with 38016. If we can find anything in that area and that market that makes sense, we'll move on that.
So that was number 5, Cordova, 38016. And sharing this number 5 slot is also the other part of Cordova, 38018. So we're going to hit 38018 as well.
All right, 38018 Cordova South. Another really popular zip code and area. Basically the same as 38016. I think these are a little newer, or 38016. 38018's a little newer. Is that right? Or 38016 is a little newer?
Slightly. We'll talk about that.
2023, we had 46 sales. 2,084 square feet is our average, and 324,599 was our average sales price. Now in 2024, we've bumped up. We've got 58 sales, 2,100 square feet, and our price went down a little, 309, 252. Another, same things I said about Cordova North and 38016. I'm saying about Cordova South. Great area. If we can find something that makes sense, let's talk about the.
Oh yeah,
the
as
there.
you know, it abuts Germantown, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Yeah.
As far as convenience, super great. There are 38,000 people in 018, making $82,000. So you're talking a $2,200, $2,250 rent. Mm-hmm. And that's only 12,000 parcels. So a little bit smaller, a little bit newer. They're built in 97.
Yeah.
2,250 square feet and a 3.5. So it's not a huge difference.
Yeah.
In square footage, year built.
Yeah. I cut my teeth in real estate in Cordova. New construction. I started, and it was my very first neighborhood was out in this Cordova area, Berry Hill Farms.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that area. Man, people couldn't wait to move out there. I mean, it's crazy. So Cordova's great. Anything we can find there to make sense, I'm all for Cordova.
All right. Coming in at number 4 is 38116. Whitehaven.
All right, 38116, Whitehaven, home of Elvis Presley. The city, one of our first higher-end Suburbans that was developed in the 70s. Obviously, Elvis wanted to live down there. Elvis Presley Boulevard runs north and south, basically in the heart of Whitehaven. Mm-hmm. Whitehaven High School has been a staple in that community for years and years and years. A great athletic program. I mean, it's been a real strong
civic pride.
Yeah, that's right. Pride in that community there. They just recently put a Starbucks right in the middle of Whitehaven, Shelby Drive, and Elvis Presley Boulevard.
EP.
So there's another. I use that example up in Raleigh.
Yep.
So if Starbucks thinks that there's foot traffic and people to pay that, then those are our tenants. I really enjoy Whitehaven. I like the tenant base there. They want to be in Whitehaven. We mentioned it just a second ago that pride of community and sense of pride there in Whitehaven is really strong. In 2023, we had 19 sales. 1,640 square feet at 100,754. In 2024, July, we had 40 sales, 1,649 and 148,000 was our average price. Whatever happened in 2024, July, Whitehaven, I mean, to me, it's, that sounds like maybe there's some new construction opportunities that maybe they've built in Whitehaven. The demand has just gotten that farther north in Whitehaven. I have several in 38116, and I would take as many as I can get. Talk about those tenants.
Whitehaven's great for all the reasons you mentioned, especially Graceland. Elvis. It's Elvis week this week, by the way.
Is it this week?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Vigil is tomorrow night.
What time are we meeting?
8:30. Till everybody else goes through.
I've been.
Good.
Have you been?
Yes, I'm going. I'm going.
Oh, you really are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There are 40,000 people in Whitehaven making $42,000. So that's about $1,100 rental.
Yeah.
Now, where it's only 9,000 parcels. And so, again, as we're coming back now, you're talking 1963 because, as you said, the city developed south as well as north. Before it moved out east, our city went north and south.
Great point. If you look on our map, 38116 and then 38127, you can see just if they're north and south. And as the city developed in the 60s, they developed a little bit up north and a little bit down south. I believe our south was our higher end suburban, bigger homes. And then up north was a little bit more of our blue collar, a little bit more economical living as we went along. And you can see.
And you can see this, they were built, they're 1,800 square feet, 3 twos. And, just kind of flash back to Fraser, what you said, they were 13 3-1s.
So see, they were catering to different classes of people and economic differences of people, and it was south. And you can see when you go into Whitehaven and you start looking at the homes, there's plenty of 3,000 square foot homes.
Really, man,
that you can get in Whitehaven.
Around Graceland is great. I mean, there are a lot of really nice homes. And again, we mentioned especially with 55 going right through there, I-55 going south, that's into North Mississippi. You can be in Hernando, you can be in South Haven, you can be
Yeah.
There's a lot in
A lot
North
going on.
Mississippi.
Just head down 55,
So
51.
it's a great location. 116 is a super convenient location.
Yes,
for
which
renters,
is
for
which is
anybody to
why
live.
it works so well for our tenant base and for an investor standpoint.
That was number 4, Whitehaven. And now coming in at number 3 is Oak Haven. That's 38118, also known as Parkway Village.
All right, let's see. 38118. Maybe my favorite zip code. I started off in 38118. It was my second rental I bought was in 38118. I love the location. As you can see, it's just south of 240. The airport kind of rides the line between 38116 and 38118.
Yep.
You're usually going to find one-story homes. They're going to be brick, and they're going to have a little bit larger lot or larger land space. So when the city was developed, I believe you're going to say in the 70s, this was developed. The trend was single family ranch style, one-story homes. So you're going to see way more of those there. They're going to be a lot of brick homes near the airport. Heavy FedEx employee area here because you're literally minutes from the airport. So anything in 38118 I love. In 2023, we had 38 sales, 1,417 square feet, 112,325. And then in 2024, up in all categories, we had 48 sales, 1,440 square feet, and 131,000. Yep. I remember buying even 10 years ago for 70 grand.
Yeah.
So these areas have really developed. Let's talk about the tenants in there.
Parkway Village. It's part of what you hear some of this called part of the 38118. They're for 40,000, right at 40,000 people, making a little over 40,000, 42,000. So it's about $1,100 rental, which is about what you see, and 10,000 parcels. And you're right. This was right at the 1967, so right at the turn of the 70s. Yeah. Right there is what the average year built was. And again, as we've seen, as things moved east, as we come back west, they get a little bit older.
Yeah, that's right.
1,400 square feet, so it's a tad bit smaller. It's a 3.1.5. So, but typical of this house right here, exactly what you see in Parkway or Parkway Village, 3811, Oak Haven.
The typical locations where we find these, you have one, is it Comanche? Bowingshire. Arrowhead. Those are some great single, as you can see in this picture here, single family, ranch style, one level brick house, a little bit larger lot. That's a pretty typical home in 38118. I'll tell you this, I'll take as many as I can get. I can't tell you enough good things about 38118. I just have had a lot of success there. So I would encourage you to make that one of your focuses on zip codes. I love 38118. Yep. Anything else there?
Yeah.
Moving right along to our number 2 slot. This is East Memphis, 38117.
38117 is going to be our next area. This is probably, in my mind, these prices are a little higher than some of the areas. That Capri, 1737 Capri Road, that's probably a $200,000 to $250,000 house. You will see some higher value homes in 38117, but I want to focus on Colonial Acres.
Yes,
I want to focus on just south of Park, in between 240 there, just north of the interstate, the yellow portion there. Those areas of 38117 are going to be some areas that you can invest in. I want to speak carefully about this because I'm going to give you the stats of this area, but it's not necessarily an indicator of an investor world.
No opportunity.
Yeah, this is going to read no opportunity, but I'm here to tell you that there is some.
Yeah.
In 2023, we had 59 sales, 2,299 square feet, 456, 488. 2024, we had 66 sales, little smaller square feet and a little bit lower price, 353,000. So took a definite dip in price in 2024 July versus 2023. To me, that just the interest rate affects all of that. It means the homes that are a little further south are going to, in 38117, are going to be more desirable. You can get into, I know you've got, I think I have 2 over there. Park, you correct me if I'm wrong, coming down Park from Ridgeway, as soon as you cross over into the zip code, you're going to hit White Station, Mendenhall, Perkins.
Colonial Perkins
area.
Yeah.
From that area, Park, all the way down to kind of that Target Colonial Acre.
Colonial Target.
Yeah, what's Harding at? What street is Harding?
Cherry.
So in Cherry, you get down to Cherry, all right, and then you go south.
Yeah.
all of that area is, I mean, maybe
to 240. It's great.
Maybe the best rental area in the city for value of what you're getting, the price for the tenant. I mean, my two over there, I hear nothing.
Yeah,
I hear nothing. I get
it's
rent
great.
on time. I get the houses are in great shape. So I'm really big on 38117. Don't let these numbers skew your opinion on what you can do in 38117. You can find a cash flowing rental. You can find flips down in the bottom of 38117.
Sure.
I mean, like I'd look for one now. So really, really high on that 38117 zip code. U of M grads, Rhodes graduates, a lot of people want to live right in that area. We'll talk about 38122, but their parents probably live in 38122, right? So they want to live in 38117. It's just kind of that first step out of college. So talk about the tenant base.
It's great. Super. Again, you can see right in the middle of the city. As far as the county goes, it's like right in the heart of the county. 25,000 people making $90,000, so that's a $2,500 rental.
Yeah.
11,000 parcels, 1959.
Yep.
So again, the city was, as it was moving north and south, and it was starting to move east.
That's right.
So 1959, 2,100 square feet, 3.2.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this area, and that house on Capri there is about what you're looking at for that $250,000 price range that will rent for that $2,500 mark. You can get the 1% there, so don't let these numbers kind of fool you on what you can do.
Yeah, you could also buy $1 million house and live there.
You certainly
in
can.
that. So that's skewing the numbers.
That's exactly right.
Now, drum roll, please. It's time for the number one zip code for rental investors in Memphis, Tennessee. That is 38128, Rockin' Raleigh.
Speaking of Raleigh, we're going to bump right into 38128. So we're going to go geographically. We're just going to go a little east of 38127. You can see there on our map. Let's hit Raleigh real quick. All right, here we go. In 2023, we had 32 sales. I had an average square foot of 1537 and an average sales price in July of 2023 of 139,822. 2024, we have more than doubled our sales. A little lower square foot, right at under 1,400, and we're at 135,210. So prices came down a little bit in Raleigh. It sounds like we had more opportunities in Raleigh than we did in July of 2023. Especially if the square foot's down and the price is down a little bit, our demand, simple economics tells you that there's a little bit more opportunity than there was in 2023.
Yeah, and dollar per square foot. I'm not looking at it. It's probably a little bit better. Because that's essentially the same price. But over in Raleigh, which we talked about as you move, there's the Nike Amazon plant on the west side of Raleigh, but that's 45,000 people.
Yep.
Making a little more, making about $40,000 household income median. And that's, again, do your math. That's about $1,100 on the rental. So a little more. You're getting a little bigger house, built in, a little newer, built in 1973 and 1,550 square feet, 1.5.
Yeah.
So if you look at Kerwin, probably at 1.5.
That's right.
1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
It's about what the sales price.
That's an example of a brick home. That home obviously needs a roof, but that 4135 Kerwin is a perfect example of what I have in Raleigh. I've also got a decent footprint in Raleigh. Raleigh Springs Mall used to be kind of the center hub of it. I used to grew up
Austin P
right over there. It's now a big government facility, so they have
is.
some jobs there. But one thing I like to point out, and you're going to hear me maybe say this, and some people think it's kind of corny, but the research that these companies do is undeniable.
Yeah.
But there's a Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks that they just built at Austin P and Yale.
Yep.
Which is in the heart of 38128.
Yes.
That's right. They do not put restaurants and their little coffee joints there if they don't know the foot traffic is not going to be there for years, and even the growth. Yeah. So I know that's a little, maybe a not non-traditional way of doing your research of where you want to be. But there's no sense in doing it twice. If Chick-fil-A's done it and Starbucks has done it, when I say just built, last 6 months, I don't mean last few years. Last 6 months, they just developed that right across from that big government facility there.
I know exactly where it is. Driven by that up tons. And if you want to cater to people who are buying Starbucks and eating at Chick-fil-A, if that's the tenants you want, this is the type of area you want to be in.
That's exactly right.
So,
if you can That's the kind of tenant. It's a little bit more expensive meal. A little, a luxury item is buying a coffee in the morning. They must think that market is there to do that.
So we'll support it.
That's exactly right. So I'm really big on Raleigh, one of my favorite zip codes to invest in.
Well, folks, that concludes our episode on the top 5 investment zip codes here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm producer Alec, and on behalf of Dean and Douglas, we hope you guys have a happy 4th of July weekend, and we will be back soon with new episodes. Bye.